Hi everyone, it's Rman here, and today I will first tell you why this banner is crazy good and analyze each unit individually, and then finally I will share my other thoughts on this banner. So this banner is crazy good because all units on this banner are either great or just too OP. So Arena Marth or Lucina is a great nuke that can kill the legendary Black Knight with support, of course, but he or she, I would say he is ranked at the bottom of tier A. I would rank him as the bottom of tier A. And Arena Chulainn is a great demo that has a great inheritable axe, and I would rank him as an S tier inheritable axe fodder. So that just shows how good he is. And Arena Chrom is also just too OP with crazy true damage and crazy support. And I'm putting him on the top of S tier, and he is the best range nuke in the game right now. And lastly, Harmonized Fur is also too OP with unlimited true damage and crazy kill force. And she is, I will put her at the second place of S tier, just behind young Camilla as a melee nuke. And if you want to know why I rank them like this, then keep watching, and I will also explain the characters in this banner in a more detailed manner. And so first, let's talk about Arena Marth as first. Arena Marth. So I will first do a recap on what the units in this banner can do, and then talk about why I rank them as such and what they need to perform at their best potential and what are they lacking in their base kit. So first of all, Arena Marth. Arena Marth has 52 true damage and has maximum of about 15 flat DR plus 40 unpierceable DR, and he also gets stats. He gets the similar amounts of stats that most modern units get, and she also gets slaying and piercing. And the most unique thing about Marth is that he splashes the sabotage panic after her assist skill, and because of her B skill, she also, let's just say she also gives the empathy and cooldown -1 effect from the B skill, and also because of her private assist future gaze, she also gives out the future witness status, which was first introduced by Ninja Lucina, full penalty doubler and dodge, and also another cooldown -1. But remember that the previous cooldown -1 from the B skill, attack speed favor, only works on the target ally, and this future gaze gives the bonus status works on allies within 2 spaces. So the cooldown -1 is for allies within 2 spaces after her assist future gaze, but the cooldown -2 effect is only for Lucina, Masked Marth, or aka Lucina, and the target ally which Lucina has used the future gaze on. And of course, Lucina also gets the extra action after using the future gaze assist skill, and she also has no follow-up, gives 7 true damage support to any ally that has empathy because of the B skill, and also has conditional brave attacks if she has future witness or if her speed is greater than foe's speed, so which is easy to achieve. So basically she is always getting her brave attacks, and because of her B skill, she gets a lot of true damage from her B skill, and her B skill is just really crazy good. And I might dive into why this B skill is just super OP soon. Maybe I'll make a video on it, but basically I want you to know that attack speed favor and the attack defense favor both do similar stuff. They do the exact same effects, but they give different stat bonuses because it is different. They are different. They give, for example, the attack speed favor from Lucina gives attack and speed bonuses, but the attack defense favor gives attack and defense bonuses for Arena Chrom. And so let's talk about Arena Marth, aka Lucina, first. So after looking at her effects that Lucina has a lot of good effects. For example, she has no follow-up and brave attacks in her base kit, and that is all. And she also has a lot of true damage, 52 true damage, maximum 52 true damage from her kit. Base kit is absolutely crazy, and she can easily nuke almost all units in the game except for Brave Ekfamir, who has unlimited true damage, unlimited flat DR if his allies that are close to him have enough stat bonuses. And sometimes Lucina Marth may not be able to kill the legendary Black Knight because the legendary Black Knight may have extra support that makes him extra tanky. So Lucina has all the effects that he needs. She needs, but she is just missing a good C skill, because if you use her base kit, she doesn't come with a C skill, and you should give her Brutal Tempest, and then she will become a really top tier melee nuke. And as for why I rank her at the bottom of A tier, is because she is not having unlimited true damage, for one. So for the melee nuke tier list, if you have unlimited true damage, you are automatically S tier, because you can kill every unit in the game as long as that foe has enough bonus statuses and has enough penalty status effects. And it is really they cannot compare to other tiers, because they are just on another level, because they can kill almost everyone in the game as long as the foes have enough status effects. And then comes the A tier. I rank A tier mainly by their damage output, and then I will try and rank their flat DR, rank them by their flat DR and maybe some of their extra effects and their range. I will take their range into consideration as well. And I put Arena Marth or Lucina at the bottom of tier A, because I think she is worse than Summer Lapis, because Summer Lapis has more. Although Summer Lapis may have less true damage, sometimes have less true damage than Arena Marth or Lucina, Summer Lapis has much more flat DR than Lucina. And Lucina's main problem is that she does not have enough flat DR, and she only has the 15 flat DR and maybe at most 7 more flat DR from the Future Witness status. But in modern standards, 15 or 22 flat DR is just not really a lot, and it is quite fragile. So Arena Marth or Lucina is quite fragile, and she would die quite easily, and she may not be able to get her follow-up attacks if the foe has hardy bearing and has a lot more true damage or has the reflective damage. And Lucina does not have enough flat DR to survive enemy counterattacks, and she may not get her follow-up attacks if the foe has hardy bearing. And if you compare to other units in the tier A melee nuke list that I have listed here, then you would see that Lucina has much less true damage than the other units on the list at tier A, and so I put Lucina at the bottom of tier A. And she is really good, but her main problem again is having not enough flat DR. And even if you give her Brutal Tempest, she will still perform at a similar level as maybe she will perform at a worse level than Bright Lapis, Summer Lapis. And she will still perform worse than Summer Lapis, even if she gets the Brutal Tempest fodder. And if you want to compare, if you want to know about how much true damage and flat DR that the units on this tier list have, you can see their true damage and flat DR here. And except for the tier S nukes, I have listed all the true damage and flat DR for those units here, and you can refer to this if you want to compare their true damage and flat DR. And note that some of the units may have more true damage and flat DR written here, but I rank them higher than at one another because mainly this is because of their better range, like they cover more range, and or maybe because they have more extra actions, etc., and more support. So this is what I factor into the melee nuke tier list. And I want to add that even though Arena Marth or Lucina gives a lot of debuff effects like the sabotage, like the full penalty doubler bonus status and the future witness status, but all of these statuses are not really, except for the future witness status. The future witness status is really good, and the 7 true damage support from the B skill empathy is also really good, but other statuses such as the sabotage and panic are typically just nice additional effects, but they aren't really crazy, they aren't really OP, and they are good to have. That like they are a nice addition to Lucina's kit, but they don't affect the final damage outcome too heavily. Like if we're talking about exposure and no miracle, these statuses are more influential and are just better at affecting your combat than those panic or sabotage effects. And the support that Lucina gives is good, but is not too good that I would put her on a higher tier at tier A. And I think her kit is, I think ranking her at the end of tier A on this tier list is fair, and because she is definitely better than Groom Salef, better than Tea Time Felix, and Legendary Diamond as a melee nuke, of course. She is definitely better than those units, but I think she's not on the level she is a little worse than Summer Lapis, and that is what I'm trying to say, and so I rank her at the end of tier A on this recent melee nuke tier list. So, and then we will talk about Arena Chrom. So Arena Chrom is a really OP unit, and to make you understand how OP Arena Chrom is, you can just take a look at how much flat DR Arena Chrom has. So Arena Chrom is a colorless infantry bow and a defense-based AoE nuke, and he has a maximum of 72 true damage, and that's the highest true damage we have ever seen for a ranged nuke. As you should know, ranged nukes right now none of the ranged nukes right now have unlimited true damage like Young Camilla or Harmonized Fur. Only range 1 nukes have that amount of unlimited true damage, and for a ranged nuke to have 72 true damage is absolutely mind-blowing, and this is the first time a ranged nuke has this much true damage. And Arena Chrom also has a maximum of 20 AoE true damage, which is nice as well for him to do more AoE damage, but he has a major flaw, and this is because Arena Chrom has 0 flat DR in his base kit, and he is very fragile, and he is a pure glass cannon, and his main job is to do damage, and that's why he has a crazy amount of flat DR. And also his kit also has unlimited stats based on number of bonuses and penalty effects on him times 2, so you can stack up as much stats on Arena Chrom as well by stacking up more bonus effects like other Chroms do. And so that is nice as well. And as for his other effects, he also has the private assist, the change. He also has a private assist that after using he will get another extra action like other Chroms, and he will also inflict the isolation status effect on himself. And the new thing about him is that not only does he copy the bonus effects on the target ally to himself, but he also gives the bonus effects that are active on himself to the target ally after the assist skill. So this is a nice addition to which is different than other versions of Chrom, other versions of himself. He also gives the bonus effects that are active on him before the assist skill, and he will also transfer those bonus effects to that target ally after the assist. So this is a really good addition. And he also gives out the exposure, discord, numerical effects after he splashes these effects on closest foes after using his private assist skill. And he also gives the 50% piercing and empathy and cooldown -2 to that target ally. And he also gives out the really crazy OP new status effect, Change of Fate. Change of Fate is basically maximum 15 true damage and Canto 2, which is crazy. In thinking that if you think of a status that can straight out give you 15 true damage, that is just OP. And Chrom can give this to the target ally and other bonus effects to the target ally after using his private assist. So even though he only gives out these bonus effects on that target ally after his private assist reposition, his private assist has the reposition effect, and he only gives out all these crazy bonus effects to the target ally, not allies within 2 spaces, only that target ally. And even though he only gives these bonus effects to the target ally, these bonus effects are so good that it doesn't matter that it's straight out, just doesn't matter that he only gives it out to that ally. It's the bonus effects like give so much more damage, like the 15 true damage and all other debuff effects are also common. So Arena Chrom is just really crazy. And other than his private assist, he also gets the do-all to attack and defense, desperation, time pulse for effect, and he also, because of the attack defense favor B skill, he also gives 7 true damage to any ally that has the empathy status effect. And because of the favor B skill, he also gives out the empathy and 50% piercing to that target ally after using his assist skills. So again, the attack defense favor gives so much true damage and gives the 7 true damage support to allies that have empathy, and it's just a crazy good B skill that is just a really good addition on Chrom. And the time pulse arms is nothing special, but it helps Arena Chrom to trigger his AoEs more frequently and is a nice addition. And it also gives him more attack defense bonuses during combat, and so that is appreciated. But what makes Arena Chrom OP is because of his crazy true damage from his weapon, from his new B skill favor skills, and from his bonus status Change of Fate after using the private assist. And it's also because Arena Chrom can get his and the 5 true damage from the slide, sturdy blows, A skill, and this is already just if you add all of those together, it already gives him 72 true damage, which is crazy. And this is not even counting his AoE damage as well. So basically, Arena Chrom is doing so much damage that he can actually destroy Brave Ekfamir, even though Brave Ekfamir has unlimited flat DR. His stack, even if Brave Ekfamir has a lot of allies next to him, Brave Arena Chrom just has so much true damage that he can sometimes kill Brave Ekfamir even though there are allies next to him. So that is how crazy Brave Arena Chrom is. The amount of true damage that Arena Chrom gets is absolutely mind-blowing, and not to mention that he also has additional AoE true damage, so the damage from his AoE is also needs to be counted as well, but I didn't count it in his true damage. So if you think about it, the amount of damage Arena Chrom can do is absolutely crazy, and that is why Arena Chrom is hands down the best range nuke in the game right now. And I put him slightly above Brave Boulder, but I think, like, in terms of pure damage output, Brave Chrom is definitely Arena Chrom is definitely better than Brave Boulder in terms of pure damage output. But if you're talking about functionality, like how usable these units are, then Brave Boulder has some really different matchups. Like, Brave Boulder has a lot more flat DR than Arena Chrom. Arena Chrom is a pure glass cannon, and although he has like crazy amounts of true damage, like 72, and Brave Boulder has less true damage, but she also has brave attacks, and she also has a lot of flat DR, and she also gets the weapon triangle advantage from the style and from the status effect, the weapon triangle advantage status effect that she inflicts on foes, and she gets more damage from that bonus, that debuff effect as well, and because of her style. So Brave Boulder definitely still has some use cases, and sometimes Brave Boulder may be better than Brave Chrom in some matchups where you need to tank a hit from enemy forces. But if you're talking about pure damage output, Arena Chrom definitely just does much more damage than all other ranged nukes in the game, and in terms of damage output, Arena Chrom just tops off all other ranged units in the ranged nukes in the game, and that's why I put him in the top of S tier on the ranged nuke tier list. So Arena Chrom is just a ranged version of young Camilla, if you will. That's how crazy OP Arena Chrom is, and I think everyone should try and get a copy of Arena Chrom if they care about the meta of this game. So if you are a really hardcore fan and you always want to keep up with the Fame meta, then Arena Chrom is definitely one unit that you cannot miss. Arena Chrom is just that OP. And then we will talk about Arena Chulainn. So Arena Chulainn is a demote unit, and the main selling point of him is his really good demote axe. His demote axe is inheritable to all other units in the game, and it just functions like an arcane axe basically, but it's cheaper than a normal arcane unit. So, and if you compare his inheritable axe, the Arena Axe Plus, you can see that Arena Axe Plus gives 20% true damage based on 20% of the unit's speed, and also gives flat DR based on 20% 20% of that unit's speed as well. So basically his weapon gives good true damage and good flat DR that is based on speed, and it also spreads two debuff effects on foes after moving and at start of turn. So the two debuff effects are Speed Shackle and Defense Shackle, which are both okay debuffs, and the unit also gets the Omni +5 during combat from the Arena Axe Plus. So this Arena Axe Plus is a really good inheritable axe because it gives true damage and flat DR, and it also gives debuff effects, which is really good. And for an demote axe weapon, if you can get the true damage, flat DR, and some additional support effects, then your weapon is basically just really good. So, and if you can see where I rank this inheritable axe, I rank this axe just at the second as the second best inheritable axe in the game right now, and I even will rank this inheritable axe, Arena Axe Plus, better than the Arcane Giant Axe. So this inheritable axe from Arena Chulainn is basically better than the rearm weapon from Fiatsis. And why I say that is because if you are furthering this axe to a speed-based axe unit, then the true damage and flat DR from the Arena Axe Plus just tops off the Arcane Giant Axe. The Arcane Giant Axe only gives true damage and flat DR based on 15% of the unit's attack, and if the unit has more speed, if the unit is a speed-based unit basically, then the Arena Axe Plus will be much better than the Arcane Giant Axe. The Arcane Giant Axe mainly just gives true damage and flat DR and maybe some additional effects, but they are not too consequential. And if you really want the best axe for your speed type units, then the Arena Axe Plus is just a better option than the Arcane Giant Axe. And why I put Lonku Spring Air Axe at the top of S tier, and this is because this axe tier list is made for speed melee nukes. So typically for speed type melee nukes, you just want to maximize your true damage, and because Spring Air Axe gives 20 true damage, so that is the best amount of true damage you can get from a demote inheritable axe. So if you're aiming for more true damage, then Spring Air Axe is naturally just the best option in the game right now until more inheritable axe come out. And Arena Axe Plus is mainly good for the flat DR, because Spring Air Axe Plus, although it gives 20 true damage, but the true damage is based on the number of enemies that are next to that foe. So the amount of true damage you can get from Spring Air Axe is decreasing, because less and less enemies will be there after you defeat enemies one by one on the map. So the amount of true damage from Spring Air Axe is actually decreasing every time you use the weapon, but the Arena Axe Plus has consistent speed-based true damage, and the main selling point of Arena Axe Plus is that it also gives flat DR based on 20% of that unit's speed. So if you are a speed type Omni tank or even a speed type melee nuke that wants to get more, if you want to stack up more flat DR on your axe speed type melee nuke unit, then you can consider getting the Arena Axe Plus instead of the Spring Air Axe. So you can decide whether you want more true damage or you want to get a little bit of flat DR from the Arena Axe Plus. So, and if you're not a speed based axe unit, then probably the Arcane Giant Axe is still the way to go because it gives true damage and flat DR based on 15% of that of the unit's attack. So if your speed stat is not good enough, then the Arena Axe Plus is just not that good when compared to Arcane Giant Axe. But if you're a speed-based unit, then you should definitely just get Arena Axe Plus. And this is a really good demote weapon for you to grab. And as you can see, the Fanning Foliage from Summer Pala, demote Summer Pala, is just not good because it only gives true damage based on attack, 15% of attack, and Arcane Giant Axe is just a better option than that Fanning Foliage fodder. But if you do not have Arcane Giant Axe, then you might want to fodder Summer Pala, but Summer Pala, you basically cannot get Summer Pala right now because her Summer Banner is already over, and you will need to either randomly get her from the demo pool, or you need to wait until she reruns, and I don't know when will that ever happen. So basically, Summer Pala is very rare, and I think FEH might be less rare than Summer Pala right now. Because the demo pool is so large, and maybe FEH is just more common than Summer Pala. I don't know about the rates, but maybe it is less rare than Summer Pala right now. So if you are not a speed-based unit, then you should get Arcane Giant Axe or the Springer Axe Plus, depending on whether you are nuke or you want more flat DR. And yeah, so if you are a speed-based axe unit, then Arena, and you want flat DR, the main thing is that you want flat DR other than maximizing true damage, then Arena Axe Plus is the main reason you would want to get Arena Chulainn from this banner, and he is definitely a good pickup option if you want to stack up some good demote access for future fodder options. So if you want demote access for your fodder usage, then yeah, Arena Chulainn is definitely a really good pickup unit. So lastly, we have Harmonized Fur. So Harmonized Fur is another young Camilla unit because Harmonized Fur again has unlimited true damage. So Harmonized Fur is a sword cavalry unit and a speed-based nuke, and as I said, she has unlimited true damage, and which is again based on number of bonus effects and number of penalty effects on foe and foes within 2 spaces on that of that foe times 3, which is basically the same description of the same description that young Camilla has. So her true damage is the same as young Camilla. But the difference between young Camilla and Harmonized Fur is that Harmonized Fur has more flat DR. Harmonized Fur has a maximum of about 19 flat DR plus 40% unpierceable DR, whereas young Camilla does not have any flat DR in her base kit at all. So if you compare between young Camilla and Harmonized Fur has a decent amount of bulk, when young Camilla is basically just another glass cannon and is very fragile. So Harmonized Fur also gets the same amount of bonus stats as modern units, has piercing and has slaying, and she also at start of turns splashes speed shackle, defense shackle, and discord. And she also gives out the Dole All status effect at start of turn to allies within 2 spaces. So basically she has start of turn support, and she also gets the start of turn debuff effects. And in terms of support or debuff effects, young Camilla and I would say that young Camilla and Harmonized Fur perform similarly in terms of the support or debuff effects. Well, young Camilla does not give any supportive effects to allies within 2 spaces, but Harmonized Fur does. She gives out the do all status effect at start of turn, but the do all status effect is so common nowadays that it's not really that important. So mainly you compare the debuff effects at start of turn between Harmonized Fur and young Camilla. Young Camilla gives the deep wounds effect and Discord, if I remember correctly. Young Camilla gives, whereas Harmonized Fur gives out the speed shackle and defense shackle and Discord debuff effects at start of turn. So Harmonized Fur gives out one more debuff status effect at start of turn, but I would say that young Camilla gives out the more influential debuff status effects than Harmonized Fur, because the deep wounds effect is quite good, and it reduces, although it does not reduce the amount of healing by Divine Nectar, because Divine Nectar neutralizes deep wounds, but it sort of reduces the amount of healing by enemies, and I think it is a little bit better than the speed shackle or defense shackle. But in terms of those debuff effects, maybe more debuffs from Harmonized Fur is a little better. So, but I think they are quite similar. They perform similarly in terms of this aspect. So in terms of supportive or debuff effects, I think it is debatable whether Harmonized Fur or young Camilla does better on that regard. And you will also need to consider that young Camilla also makes the Divine Haze terrain at start of turn, so you will also need to consider that in terms of the supportive or debuff effects at start of turn. So I think in terms of supportive or debuff effects, Harmonized Fur and young Camilla perform similarly in that regard. And so let's keep on looking at Harmonized Fur first base kit. Harmonized Fur also has the no follow-up, cooldown charge +1, cooldown -2 at start of turn, gets Canto 2, and also gets the potent 40% from her base kit. So in terms of other effects, Harmonized Fur gets, the main thing about Harmonized Fur is that she gets cooldown acceleration at start of turn, especially cooldown -2. So it helps her, together with the cooldown charge +1 effect from her base kit, it helps her trigger her new special Gale Force Miss more easily after attacking only once on any foes, and she can get the Gale Force effect fairly easily when compared to young Camilla. Young Camilla can also run the Gale Force skills, but she needs to at least attack twice, and she has the cooldown charge +1 in her base kit as well. Young Camilla has that as well, but she does not have the cooldown -2 at start of turn, so she would need to attack twice in order to trigger Gale Force, and if she inherited the Gale Force skill. So in terms of using these units as a Gale Force unit, Harmonized Fur is definitely a better option, and she can trigger Gale Force more consistently. But Harmonized Fur also has less Canto when compared to young Camilla. Young Camilla has Canto distance +1, max 4, where Harmonized Fur only has Canto 2 from her base kit from Blue Sky's A skill. And so in terms of hit and run potential, young Camilla is better than Harmonized Fur, and they both have the no follow-up effect, which makes them really good as a melee nuke, of course. And they both only have potent 40% though, so they are similar in this regard. And let's keep on looking at Harmonized Fur first base kit. Harmonized Fur also has a harmonized skill that basically helps her refresh her Gale Force effect, and she also gives the cooldown -2 to herself, Resonance Blaze to herself and allies within as the same titles of her and I and, and sorry as and allies from the same title as Fer and Carla. So basically heroes from the Blazing Blade and the Blazing Blade game and the Binding Blade game. So as long as they are allies from those two titles, they will get the cooldown -2 and Resonance Blaze effect after Harmonized Fer uses her Harmonized skill. So Harmonized Fer has this Harmonized skill that allows her to trigger her Gale Force again if needed, and so as a result, Harmonized Fer has one extra action than young Camilla, and at most two more extra actions than young Camilla if young Camilla does not have Gale Force equipped, or she does not trigger her Gale Force because she one-shots the enemy, which often happens actually. So in terms of Gale Forcing, Harmonized Fer is definitely better in that regard. It's definitely better than young Camilla in terms of Gale Forcing. And however, I think that young Camilla overall is still a better melee nuke because young Camilla's range is just much better than Harmonized Fer. Harmonized Fer, in terms of damage output, Harmonized Fer and young Camilla are the same. They both have unlimited true damage. They both have potent 40%, and they both have no follow-up, etc. So in terms of pure damage output, they will do the same amount of damage. But in terms of their range, young Camilla definitely has more range and can reach more foes more easily when compared to Harmonized Fer. Young Camilla can warp to a space that is 5 spaces away from her, as long as that space has a Divine Vein occupied, and she also has pass in her weapon, so she can just warp close to any foe that is within like 6 spaces of her, and she can just nuke any foe that is within 6 spaces of her if there is a Divine Vein there, which is very easy to achieve. And because young Camilla creates that Divine Vein haze at start of turns, and she can just warp close to any enemy and just nuke them. Whereas Harmonized Fer can only walk 3 spaces, and even if you give him Emblem Sigurd Ring, she will still only walk 4 spaces, and her range is still 1 less than young Camilla, and because she is a cavalry unit. You have to remember she is a cavalry unit, so she cannot cross the forest terrains, whereas young Camilla is a flyer. So young Camilla can cross any terrain in the game, whereas Harmonized Fer cannot cross some terrains, such as the forest terrain. So in terms of range and adaptability, young Camilla is does much better in those regards, and young Camilla can nuke foes more consistently because of this. So as a result, I will still rank young Camilla at the top of S tier, and I will put Harmonized Fer at the second best melee nuke in the game right now. And there are some aspects that Harmonized Fer that wins against young Camilla, such as the Gale Force aspect. In terms of Gale Forcing, Harmonized Fer is definitely better, but in most cases you would want to use a melee nuke to defeat enemies, and the sole purpose of defeating an enemy, if you're only focusing on that, then young Camilla just does that job more consistently, and her range is just better. So I would put young Camilla on a higher level as Harmonized Fer. But again, in terms of use cases, like situationally, if you want to Gale Force, then yes, Harmonized Fur is better than Young Camilla if you want to Gale Force. But in most cases, I would prefer Young Camilla over Harmonized Fur, except in Ephrace, of course. But the point I'm trying to make is that for this tier list, I would put Young Camilla over Harmonized Fur because she has more range. And for the Mythic Hresvelgar or the New Year Hresvelgar, I would put them lower than Harmonized Fur because Harmonized Fur has Gale Force and also gives out, I think, has better effects than the Harmonized Fur gives out more start of turn debuffs, and it also and Harmonized Fur also has the potent effect, whereas the two Hresvelgars do not have the potent effect. So Harmonized Fur would be able to take out more foes that more consistently in case they have Miracle, or in case they have Miracle effect, whereas the Hresvelgars might struggle against foes that have Miracle effect. So I would rank Harmonized Fur slightly above the two Hresvelgars. So yes, so I will put Harmonized Fur at the second best melee nuke in the game right now. And I would like to add that the Gale Force Mist that comes with Harmonized Fur comes in Harmonized Fur's base kit. It is basically Gale Force but with 40% unpierceable DR. That special is really good because it gives Gale Force and also 40% unpierceable DR on all attacks, and it doesn't specify like only on the first attack. So the 40% unpierceable DR works on all attacks, but the only bad thing about this special is that it only is available for non-dragon range 1 flyers or calves. So I don't understand why this new skill cannot be used inheritable by everyone, but I will never know. And finally, for my final thoughts on the banner, I just think that this sudden wave of power creep is crazy, and I am genuinely shocked by how crazy OP this banner is. And the thing I want to highlight is that the new B skill, how OP the new B skill is, because the attack speed favor or attack defense favor, it gives out the 7 true damage support to allies that have the empathy status, yes, and it doesn't say that it's not stackable. So what I'm thinking is that if all units on your team get that skill, and all of your units get the empathy status effect, then does the 7 true damage stack for every favor skill on your team? So does it stack? The main question is that I want to ask is whether the favor 7 true damage support from the favor skill is stackable on different units. For example, if you have 2 units on the team and they both have attack speed favor, then if someone else has the empathy status, would they do 14 extra damage? Like, does the true damage support stack? If the true damage support stacks up, then basically all units in the game can kill the legendary Black Knight or even the Brave Ekvamir if you have enough allies and enough fodder to stack up as much attack speed favor or attack defense favor skills on different units and just get so much true damage from that skill. So that is unthinkable, and I think someone needs to test that. And other than that, I just think that this sudden wave of power creep is just shocking to me, and now I really want to say that I'm quite worried about the upcoming emblem banner, because it has been 2 months since the last emblem Micaiah, so that means that this month we are getting a new emblem hero. I think it might be emblem Roy, because it is, according to KCB, it should be a red hero. new red hero we're getting from at the end of this month. So I think maybe it will be Emblem Roy. I'm not sure, but if it is Emblem Roy, then maybe everyone will get maybe Valley, Mythic Valley type miracle. So if you have played the latest FEH Book 9 chapter stories, then you would know that Valley gets a really annoying miracle effect, and you would need to kill her with either an AoE. Basically you would need to have AoE or a brave weapon to actually take out Valley successfully, and Valley really has that miracle effect, and it's very annoying to defeat. And I'm worried that maybe the Emblem Roy that might come out at the end of this month might give out the Valley effect, and if that happens, then all of this true damage may be for nothing, and the miracle effects are just too crazy. So definitely a little bit worried about the possible Emblem Hero coming out at the end of this month, but it is what it is, and we'll see what we'll get at the end of this month. And thank you so much for watching till the end of this video, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe to see more videos like this. Goodbye.